Bro, look, you suck, bro. You suck, bro. I'm gonna just tell you the truth.
Oh, January, you dirty dog, you raggedy bitch, you got me. You really got me. I actually built it up in my heart to have optimism, to believe that this month was going to be different. And to be fair, January's been getting better the last few years. At least that's what I thought. And then along comes Fear. A movie that was hid from the embargo until the day before it came out. Absolutely nobody's talking about this movie. Not even sure why I'm talking about this movie. Maybe it's because I like punishing myself. I am doing this for the masses, for the people, okay? I want you guys to recognize that while I torture myself talking about this movie. It's for you. Fear is there's a lot of horror movies called Fear, I'm starting to realize, but Fear from 2023 is a recent horror movie that just came out in theaters over this weekend. If I can sum up the plot, a bunch of people go to a hotel for like a getaway, and they have this whole lodge to themselves. And a bunch of weird shit starts happening. It starts playing upon all of their biggest fears, and they start seeing those fears manifest themselves in the hotel. Now they have to figure out a way to survive, and that's, I don't even want to call it a movie.
Hear me and hear me good, nigga. I'm here to double down. That shit is a two-pack of ass.
The movie has an ending. That's a positive, I suppose.
I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
I think I've done a pretty good job over the last few years not ranting whenever I see a shitty movie. Sometimes I don't even review the shitty movie. I leave that negative energy to the side. I am a passionate person, and sometimes my passion spills over, and sometimes it's in a more negative direction, but I try to avoid that. And I thought I was on a pretty good streak. Fear has brought out the worst in me, I'm afraid. I hate the writing, I hate the screenplay. This is a dog shit screenplay. Although I don't necessarily want to say that. I mean, maybe that's offensive to dogs. I don't know. Could a dog shit out a better screenplay than this? I don't like how characters' actions and dialogue is not tied to the situations of the movie. It's really weird how divorced it is. What characters say and how they act and what they do is not matched up to the scenario at all. Like, situations happen in the movie and how characters respond to them does not make any sense. I'm not gonna spoil an example from the movie, but it would be like me. If somebody came up to me and was like, bro, your car's on fire, I was just like, oh shit, that's a pretty big deal. And then I went to go make a sandwich. He'd probably be like, holy shit, okay, he must have another car. He doesn't give a fuck about his car, apparently. No, it's just I've had my brain surgically removed by a screenplay that tells me to go get a fucking sandwich instead of doing what makes sense for the situation. I'm not saying that somebody in the movie like went to go get a sandwich when some shit was popping off, but it's the same basic thing. There was the potential for something interesting here, like a psychological character study, if the movie actually gave a shit about following through on that premise. The idea of taking all of these characters and exploring their deepest fears and like seeing that those fears manifest themselves in a horror way that challenges them and pushes them to overcome it or die, like, sure, that could have been an interesting thing. It's just really sloppily executed in this movie, and the character work and the acting itself is not good enough to justify it either. So even when these characters are going through shit, you're just kind of like, I don't care, kill them, kill all of them. Every horror movie has an it girl, she's hot, you're kind of like, well, it'd be okay if she survived. Everybody else, kill them immediately. You've heard me talk about how movies have like a COVID inspiration, or they take the pandemic and they try to use that as like the backdrop for their story. I'm a little iffy on it, but I understand that inspiration comes from these type of places. It's all about how you do it. It's all about how it's executed. Did this movie execute it the right way? No, it fucking didn't. You know it didn't. You could tell looking at this movie that it didn't. Everything involving the pandemic and trying to capitalize on the fear and the paranoia that was around at the height of the pandemic, like all of that just feels incredibly forced and shoved into this movie for really no reason. You could have created something really interesting and psychological just with their fears. The extra shit with the pandemic, it's like, why is this in the movie? Why is this a thing? Why? Like, did you not think of any better way that you could have handled this? Shout out to the filmmakers and the writers and all the artists involved with this movie, because I know that you worked hard on it for sure, but I think you worked hard on it in the way that you work hard on your last day of work, you know? Like, you ever get to your last day of work and then you're just kind of like,
oh my God, who the hell
cares?
Take a little bit more bathroom breaks, you know, you're not really paying as much attention. You're just kind of counting down the minutes until you get to clock out and get the fuck out of there. Top that all off with a really underwhelming third act where there's this CGI nonsense that just popped up on screen. I couldn't even tell what the fuck was happening half the time. By about that time, I had mentally checked out. I was done. I had given up on all hope, all semblance of hope that this movie would be salvageable. Actually, I pretty much gave up on this movie like maybe 25 minutes in. I mentioned that the pacing is shit. Feels like something I should mention in a review like this. The pacing was absolute shit. It's like an hour into this movie, and the only things of note that had happened is that a door had slammed and people had been drinking champagne. I am not shitting you. Through an hour of the movie, that's it. That's all that had happened. It takes so long to actually get past the setup for these shitty ass people, and you finally get to what the movie is, and you're just kind of like, I want to go home. I will always say you should spend your money however you want to spend it. If you want to go see Fear, if you're into that kind of horror, hey, you don't do it. I'm not trying to tell you that you don't have free will or that film is subjective. I am telling you as someone who cares about your well-being, don't do it.
Do not do it.
Fear was a pile of you-know-what, and you knew exactly what rating this movie was gonna get. A quest for peace. Get this movie out of my sight. What movie are you looking forward to in February? Yeah, let's talk about that. Put that in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.